I've got the chat open. I'll just make sure I haven't got like anything sus open. I don't think I do. I think I'm all legit. Yeah, cool. Okay, so if I just go and can I do whole? Is there an option for whole thing? Screen 2, screen 1. Okay.
So hey Shane, water's okay, right?
Sorry, don't mind me. I'm just thinking out loud. You guys talk amongst yourselves while I work this out.
Okay. Okay, why didn't you guys tell me it was an orange shirt?
I just threw it on just because I saw I was on with Mike, and I kind of had to.
Well, I'm sorry, but Mike took it up an extra few levels there because not only is it an orange shirt, orange lights, orange Chinese coins, I believe. If you're drinking orange flavored Coke, then you hands down you win.
No.
Pepsi, okay.
DP.
I got a little bit on the orange in the background.
Gotta have the caffeine in it.
Gotta have the caffeine. Shane,
my audio working?
Caffeine.
Did you see what Repcord wrote in the YouTube chat?
Yes. I can go change if you want. I got a black one, a gray one.
You're not Team Orange. You're Captain Orange right now. You're Commander in General Orange of the color, not the other orange.
I think I've done this to Mike a few times when I've gotten on stream through the Orange On forum.
John Mack does it. Jordan wore his this morning.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jordan
on here.
On this morning.
Yeah. I think it's because it's like nobody's done laundry in like 4 weeks. So this is all they got left is these.
No, you know what it is? I ruin all my shirts, and this is one of the shirts I've tried to keep in a good shape. I had strict instructions when I got this shirt, so I was, I try to adhere to it.
You did? What did I say?
Turn it inside out when you wash it and all that.
Yeah, I never do that. Unless it happens to be inside out.
I'll be right back.
I just copied and pasted that from somebody's website. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't personal.
No, it was when I saw that I was like, oh wow, this is cool. He actually's got something nice for, how to keep the shirt in good shape.
Stole it. Plagiarized it, however you want to look at it.
Isn't that how we get most of our information?
Pretty much, yeah.
So what are you working on there, Mike?
Yeah,
I'm not on your table.
I'm not live, am I?
Yeah, you are.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I was so not ready.
Live for a while.
Awesome. I'm like sitting here looking at my phone, setting up the stream on my phone, and and I've just gone to mute the TV, and I was going to try and do some screen sharing, but I wasn't quite there yet. But I think I've got it worked out. If I just go to that, am I screen sharing or not?
Yes.
Yep.
I look like me on the stream that I can see, but that's okay. So I'm screen sharing and there's lag. All right, so I modified the Prusa mask to give it a bit of a bib at the top and a chin guard underneath, and I've uploaded that file to Thingiverse, and I just use that head as a model. But I've done like heaps of sort of different variants. It got out of control with the different variants I did of it, and I've sort of just got this big mess of files. But that's kind of that one.
Yeah, the one that I did, the Michigan makers out of Ann Arbor, they went with just three holes on theirs. So that was the one I worked on.
Yeah, right. So I noticed that the different hole punches in different countries or something like that. There was so I'm just rummaging trying to find. Here we go. I also did a version of the Verkstand as well with a third leg over the top of the head. I'll just put one together. Sorry, I'm just fumbling here. Yeah, so that sort of got like a third bit at the top. It didn't end up working out all that better than the original. Oh man, dreadlocks and these things. It's like
yeah, I was gonna say.
If you've ever seen someone
Shane!
with dreadlocks in an orgasm train, they just get snagged and they just wreck you.
It's awesome, Shane.
So
I'm waiting for him to notice.
All right, good job.
Yeah,
All right. Okay, now I feel like I have to go change.
I got another T-shirt here I could change into. It's my Paddock T-shirt.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No,
Yeah, so
that's actually pretty cool. I like how you got the extra piece that goes over the top there. That's
yeah,
nice.
so I thought that was a nice sort of version. So yeah, sort of mucked around a few versions of that, and then I made a full-blown thing with a fan on the top, but the fan just didn't push air through a filter. That was useless, and it's too small for my big buff head. So having to reprint. So basically, the air actually blows down through this tube down the side there, and was supposed to come out through a vent inside the mouthpiece. I made that entirely in mesh mixer off that same head that you saw in the other clip. I kind of like just extruded the head out and then made it hollow and stuff and cut it in pieces and mucked around. So that was one version, and then I got a 3D scan of a helmet. Hold on.
It's warm wherever he's at. He's got shorts on.
Super organized.
So
Don't
do
I?
Uh-huh.
So I got a 3D scan of a helmet, and then a friend of mine modified the file and made this basically nice little scoop that the fan attaches to. And the idea is to put a filter across there, but again, same problem with the fan. So the idea was that you put basically a bag over your head and sticky tape it around there with a hole so that your fan is going through it neatly. And then taped on so that you basically get your head in a bag with a filter blowing fresh air into your face.
You'd almost have to do a pull through with the fan in order to get it through the filter. It might the airflow might work better that way. If you're not able to push through the filter, maybe try and pull through the filter instead.
Well, I was thinking giving the filter a bigger surface area as well, so it's kind of blowing into a bag that might even sit inside the blue bit. The reason I wanted to push was because I thought if there's any leak, if it's pushing, it's going to leak to the atmosphere. Whereas with pulling, if there's a leak, it's going to pull air in and bypass the filter. That was my logic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're blowing at a surface, only air that goes through the thing can go through the surface, sort of thing. Whereas if you're sucking on a surface, air can just leak in around it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my logic. And I guess it's probably got more to do with the surface area and the power of the fan. I think I've just been using gutless old fans, and that's been the main problem. I did use just like a tiny little 40-15 blower fan sticky taped inside a normal dust mask, and because there's a lot of surface area, that seemed to go okay. But none of these type of fans have had the balls to do it. So, yeah, so I've kind of put that on the back burner at the moment, and I just worked on that standard face shield, and now there's been less demand for them anyway. Here where I am, so I got like a purchase order for a whole heap of these, the little nano. They were stacked. I did a little video on how to tweak your cure settings to really help that stack separate. Using the, when you do a temp tower and you change the temperatures for the different bits.
Right.
I did the same sort of technique there, and made it so that it just cools for the layer on the layer during and the layer above the gap, and that made them separate really easily, even though I'm still printing them fairly hot. So that worked. But yeah, I'm sure everyone's talked enough about masks and stuff. So yeah, that was that. And
Shane, have you heard much of today on masks?
No, because I mean, like, something like this is okay because it's like it's not talking about the whole thing all the time, No.
I'm just saying, you probably you get new people in, and they kind of mention a little bit and everything.
Yeah. And then it changes up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I mean, I've been popping in and out all day. I mean, depending on what I've been working on today and everything else like that. If I can, I'll put my phone to the side and I'll have my Bluetooth on just to listen to everybody all day. It's been great. This stream has been amazing.
The girls today, they were awesome because there was one point they were just all talking and everything else, and I was gonna not jump in, but just get into the conversation. I'm like, no, just hold on. I just basically kick back and just let them go for an hour or two. It was really good. I really liked it.
That's I think that's what you were looking for, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole idea. Is just to get a whole bunch of people on, and then especially those who don't, are either brand new to the community or who wouldn't normally get the chances to stream together. And then oftentimes, like I'm not trying to sound conceited or self-centered or anything else, but like people are like, hey man, thanks for doing this. This is great and everything else. I'm like, dude, I'm just standing here looking at a camera. Everyone else is doing the work.
You know what though? But Shane, credit where credit is due. Not everybody will take the time to organize it, and I think that's a lot of time.
Organize?
Well,
I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning for a reason today.
Well, not everybody will take something like this on and be the, I guess for lack of a better term, figurehead of it. So,
that's an ugly figurehead. If I was a figurehead on a ship, that thing would go probably about 1 foot and sink.
Have you seen some figureheads on some of the ships? I think, nah, you're fine. I still like when you shaved and you did the video. That was amazing.
Oh, wait. Did you see the one I did yesterday?
No, I missed that.
Oh, it's up there. Because,
is it on yours or 1440?
1440. Because,
check that out.
I heard that, you needed your dose of UV light rays, so I made sure to get my dose of UV rays.
Oh, that's going to be great.
That was funny. That was hilarious. You use the bucket on your head?
That's my curing station for I have a large resin printer. That's my curing station. So it's like, oh, this is easy. Boom, done.
Awesome. And I can see it right now. You got some big old black glasses on. That's great.
Science. But there was one part though, I was putting on the glove and then I put on the other one and I let go and it just smacked me. So I was like, son of a, and I took it out of the video and everything else. But I'm like,
was that the
how the hell did that happen?
Oh man, well, at least do a blooper video then.
Oh,
that was gold.
Those skulls look amazing.
Those are awesome.
I knocked these all out if I didn't dick around, pardon my, so bleep that out quick. If I didn't muck around, that would have been an hour. So Australian tax there. Sorry about that. I had to put one in the swear jar. That's a badly coloured in one, that one. But yeah, so they've got like a little stash spot for keys or something in the back there and a hanging hook. And so I set alarms and it was in 2 hours I knocked all them out. And I didn't make the skull. Like I just used a remix of a skull that I made that I called the Easy Print skull. Which has got a nice rounded back on it, and the bottom's got less details on it, so you don't end up getting snags. So yeah, I just knocked that out for a mate that needed one. His computer had crashed on him, and I knocked it out.
Now that would be great for Halloween. Do a bunch of those. Do like 20 of those and hang them on the wall. Hang like 20 of them on a wall.
For sure, yeah. So I've done heaps of different variants of those that are planter pots and all sorts of bits and pieces.
Or to Shane's point, just on your regular basement wall.
I just built this schmicker new computer, right, and it's got like decent stuff in it. I mean, mate's computer crashed and died on. I mean, he can't get parts at the moment.
Oh, nice!
I sent him a picture of this. Look at the tissue box. It's like, have a cry, man.
Put toilet paper in there.
I'm crying right now because I want that processor.
That is so many jokes in one, right? Like, yeah, hey man, have a tissue. Because everyone wants this processor.
I do too. Oh my god, this processor is amazing.
Yeah, I know nothing about computers, and I just like got a mate. And he's been brilliant to me. He's like helped me put this thing together, and I wouldn't know what to do without him. Yeah, so it's got like 64 gig of RAM, and there's still 2 spare slots in it, ready to put more in, and I've got 1 video card that he lent me in it, and I've got room for 3 video cards in it. I'm just like, because I didn't know what I needed to throw at Mesh Mixer, and I've just kind of thrown everything at it so I can get it to run smooth. And
nice.
Despite some initial like trying to make it crash and managing, it's been really slick. Like it's I've lined up 6 of those skulls and did a plane cut, and actually managed to put the thing where I wanted it to actually be. Like. Normally I'd be like trying to move the plane for the plane cut, and my computer would be just glitching and like jumping like 6 inches across the screen. I'm like, I wanted to move it 1 millimeter. So it's like,
wow.
Yeah, it's just
I'll make Mike. I can make Mike chuckle because I think Mike will probably remember this processor. So my processor that's in my board right now, or on my board right now, is a AMD 95 or yeah, 9590. Or do you remember that one?
No. I've always been an Intel guy, so
Ah,
Pretty
I thought
much.
you were an AMD guy.
I've got one that's got something in it, but I don't remember what.
Proc is, I think it's 8 or 9 years old, and I've got right now 400 Chrome tabs open, and I'm still
Wow.
rocking it out. So I'm actually wanting to, that processor that you got there, that's the processor I want to get, because I typically will go and grab a big high-end processor and then just run the system for like 8 years. Just because the wife
Yeah, well,
won't let me
I wanted to
buy
make it
stuff.
last. That's why I threw everything at it. I just thought, yeah, I should just get a decent computer, and good old mum helped me out with some money to get me kick started on it, and I basically
Your
just
buddy took care of you
now I
there.
have a workstation. Yeah. Thanks very much, Kev. I just messaged him to tell him to make sure he's watching. So probably a bit late. Yeah. So
Shane, what do you got back there? What food is that?
That
Yeah,
it's pizza.
that
That's
looked like ribs.
That's for later
I
on.
thought it looked like chicken.
Yeah, it looked like barbecue ribs or something. I was like, oh my god, that looks good. Ooh,
Oh.
very nice food, y'all.
It's good.
It's
Making me hungry.
Walmart special. Because
Yeah, cool.
some people, I won't name names. Happy Extruder isn't around to bring me coffee and donuts again because he has to keep social distancing. He can still drive by, just throw the dozen of donuts. It will land on the lawn. Half of them will still be good. What about my needs? I'm hungry. I need to stay awake. I need sugar. I can't go outside. I need to be here for you.
I think what he needs to do is he needs to, do the drive-by, but he just needs to leave the box of donuts at the, right at the, the doorstep, and then just knock on the door and run.
No, you know what? But you would have to specify with him to leave the donuts in the box. Because he would sit there and do it and just like take the empty box, put it on the driveway, beep, beep, and drive away.
Now, here's the
I know
question.
the man.
Would he do it? Would he do it because he's trying to be funny, or would he do it because he wants the donuts?
And would it have a 3D printed sunny roll on? Would there be a 3D printed toilet roll on the top of the box?
Because it could be something like, honey, I need to go. Shane needs donuts. No, I will not have any donuts. I know I'm on a diet, so I won't have any donuts. Gets the donuts halfway here, eats all the donuts, does the whole box thing and everything else. He goes, honey, look, I had no donuts. They're all Shane. Sure, you can look on the stream. Just ask him. He'll be fine.
And we could see Shane walking up to the thing going, where's all the donuts?
Oh, no, I would take my phone, switch it so I could live stream from my phone, and you sit there and see me outside on my phone, showing the box and be like, calling them out, screaming and yelling and everything else. And my neighbors would come out and I start screaming at them, saying, there's no donuts here! Leave me alone! And then went back in the house crying.
Nice. Oh, man. So how is it down in Florida? Because you went from East Coast to Florida.
I went from lovely
from cold weather to warm.
No, dude. This isn't warm weather. This is I'm trying to think of the polite way to say this. Swamp weather. Okay. I shouldn't be sweating in certain parts of my body. Okay. You sweat all the time down here. Okay. There's like I'm sitting there when I was moving out. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to get air conditioning and everything else. Thankfully, there's a central AC unit and it's on all the time. If I had a choice between turning off the air conditioning, save some money, or sell blood to pay for the air conditioning, I'm selling blood as much as I can. All right, this is unnatural.
The reason I ask is my wife just keeps on pestering me about leaving Michigan. She's from Uzbekistan, which is kind of like almost like an Arizona type climate, and and she's always like, well, let's go to Texas. Let's go to Texas. And I'm like, it's just too hot down there for me. And my mom's down in Fort Myer right now. She wasn't able to come home after, being a snowbird. She wasn't able to come back to Michigan. And so, it's like I'm wondering how she's faring with the weather and everything, because you're probably you're not too far, because you're in Orlando area, right?
Yeah, I'm about an hour north-ish of Orlando.
Oh, okay. So you're further than I thought. Okay.
Well, it's just starting to cool down in Australia.
Yeah?
We're still getting nice sunny days, but beautiful days actually. But the nights are just starting to get a little bit cool. Like you're not walking around in a t-shirt at night anymore. But yeah, we just finished bushfire season. And it's probably not far off coming back around again. I don't know.
Well, the bushfires were all good though.
Yeah, that's all gone now. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, anyway. They certainly stopped talking about it since Corona came along. But yeah, no, we had a flood after that.
I know. It's just like
no joke. We've literally had fire.
Are you guys waiting for locusts next, or what?
Well, they already had. I'm sorry,
but
so you had how many of the plagues? You had fire, flood. You had
pestilence.
You had disease, but somehow you screwed it up and it went worldwide. What the hell?
That wasn't us, was it?
No, it wasn't you guys. But it's. Go ahead.
It's funny. Like, every country reckons they're doing well with it, but they're not doing well with it. And it's like we can, we're on top of it. We're not on top of it. It's deadly. It's not deadly. I don't know. I can't wait till it all blows over and we get to see in hindsight how silly we all were. And like, I'm happy to print the masks and make myself useful and protect people just in case. But I don't know whether we're, I'm happy to self-isolate too. That's what I do. And just a bit scared of the draconianness of some of the stuff that's going on. It's kind of like, I'm also really happy about how everyone's pulling together and doing stuff to make it, So
yeah, absolutely.
The duality of the situation is incredible, and it's kind of like I don't know. It's my time to thrive.
I had a stupid pop-up on Twitter, and it was like, hashtag Rosa Parks. I'm like, why the heck is Rosa Parks? They got the people who are like, going against the stay-at-home orders, and they're like, we're standing up for our rights, just like Rosa Parks. I'm like, there's a little bit of a difference there.
Difference there.
A little small, tiny bit difference.
Yeah, it's a really tricky one because you can't go out in the streets and protest it in case it's legit. And
we do over here.
Trust me, I'm not too far from it.
Like sensible people shouldn't go, but also at the same time, you shouldn't just sit in your home and be told what to do by the government. Because if you look at history, the governments have never been for the people. I don't know, so I sort of always worry about, which bits of what they're telling us now is crap and which bits is true, and I don't know. I'm a very skeptical person.
And it's right to be skeptical. What do they always say? It's what is it? Trust but verify.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like, and just always keep your eyes open and be prepared for it to be something completely different to what the mainstream narrative is. Because
the most important thing is educate yourself.
Yeah, that's it. And like I've been being careful, been wearing a mask to the shop. I've been staying at home a lot more than I normally would. Being very conscious of it all. And I'm normally a grub. I'm normally the sort of person that would rather get germs and get sick and get better and be immune. But it's in this situation where everyone's freaking a bit when you're dead.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I don't know what to believe with the numbers. I really don't. I don't want to believe the conspiracy theorists, and I don't want to believe the mainstream. So it's very hard to know what to believe. So
believe science.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Some of the scientists have said that there's certain testing that's needed to actually. I don't want to go on about it, but to actually really say how deadly it is, they haven't actually been able to test who's caught it and is better and didn't know about it until they tested them. They need that test before they can really say, well, this is how many people actually had it compared to how many people died. So
you're absolutely right there, because I know of a lot of people who in November and December had high fevers, really bad dry coughs, all the indications of the same things that they're talking about, and they had it in November and December. I had one of the one of the other parents at the school who I talk to every morning when I drop off the kids in the morning, he had a dry cough from mid-December all the way through until March. And, you know, and he said it, you know, I was talking to him the other day, said he had all the symptoms, and he's like, but where would I have gotten it from? So, but at the same time, COVID-19 is just a different strain of something that's the exact same.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yep. So yeah, who knows?
It's so hard to say if it actually was or wasn't, and who knows.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of decisions. That's what do you call it, dispersion or whatever you call it. And scientists don't agree on stuff as well. So who knows? You know, it's interesting. It's interesting, and it's just I've just got my eyes open. I'm doing the right thing, which I'm, you know, like I said, I'm a hermit. I stay at home most of the time anyway, and just stand around and watch my 3D printers print. So
that's nice. Hey, Shane, on a different topic, Shane, how do you like that chair? Because I need a new chair.
Oh no, he just went over my foot with it.
That's why you were smiling so much.
Steel-toe boots are important.
Oh no.
So that's why you were smiling under your hand. Not a smile, it's a grimace.
That wasn't a smile or anything else. That was me biting my hand so I didn't scream.
Oh, the swear jar again.
No, it's for me. It would be the bucket that I use for the video, the big black one. Okay, that's my swear jar.
Mine's virtual.
Unfortunately, with a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, it's I've got to be a little bit better. Mike's saying no.
Me. Free is my second favorite F word. Fun is third.
Yes, Carl, I know. Family friendly.
Family friendly.
I love it. I'm being a very good Australian, okay?
Yes.
I remember there was somebody who interviewed, I don't know if he's the you know, current, if they brought him back again or not. It was the lead singer of AC/DC.
I should know.
Scott.
It's not Bon Scott. No,
no.
Yeah.
After Bon Scott, and then they let him go, and now who knows who's the lead singer?
I've always been bad with remembering.
Anyways, wait. That guy, and it was for a radio station, and they interviewed him, and they couldn't play the interview on the radio because of he was swearing so much. It was like every second or third word, you know, it's like, yeah, I can't wait to go to the beep and a beep and a beep, and we're just gonna go out and have beep beep beep, and they were like, we can't use this.
You can't use this.
It almost sounds like you're sending like Morse code.
That's really bad when they go to the point when they're to the point where we can't even use it because it's all beeps. That's pretty bad.
Yep. Now I need to figure out who it is because it's gonna, you know, I can't sit there and say, I'll be in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll be like, hey, I got it. No, because I'll be awake still doing this.
Oh, that's funny.
DC.
Brian Johnson.
Thank you.
What was it?
It's Brian Johnson, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brian Johnson? Okay.
I've seen him. I should know.
Well, if you guys hear a bunch of thunder, that's just my son.
I've seen Axel sing for them, too. That was different.
Oh, yeah, I know. I remember when that happened. A lot of people were like, nope, I want my tickets back. You know, my money back.
No, we went, and I was impressed that as big as his ego is, when he finished his vocal part, he literally walked back to the shadows on the stage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was impressive and weird to watch. Because it's the Angus show. Like, Angus goes and runs the show, so he's why everybody's there anyway. So, and Axel just literally stepped back out of the spotlight. It was neat. Wow, that's cool.
Thought I'd flash off my plastic.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's the bash plate of a McLaren race car, or a car of some description. It's a McLaren. I'm not a huge car person, so I'm not up to speed. But pardon the pun. That was lame as. So half of it, and you guys like what pun? So there's pegs that go in there, and there's another half that's almost identical to that, and they go together, and then the original bash plate will sit on that, and then that's going to get cast with vacuum forming with fiberglass, and then that is going to get used as a mold to make carbon fiber bash plates for McLarens.
Oh, wow. That's
cool.
awesome.
Pretty damn cool. Like, I've had some cool projects.
Beyond pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I reckon. Hey, like, that's like aerospace stuff. Like, I nearly said a swear word then. Yeah. That's pretty cool. And
An
I'm
Australian swearing? No, that would never happen.
Pretty happy with how my support's removed. I don't know if there's enough light there to show that, but I use like a really fine zigzag interface, and it pops off beautifully. I'm really happy with how that pops off.
Here we go. This one's for Shane.
Cool. What?
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Is that dual color? Or is that lighting that's making it look like that?
It's two different colors. I ran out of one, or I didn't have enough gray because I was trying to print them all in gray. But he's got pretty good detail if you look up.
Real nice.
That's FDM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
That's Fat Dragon Games. Sorry. It's not my company, but that's who I got the model through.
Yeah, cool.
Well, dude, something like that is fine. You don't have to worry, because that came up earlier on this morning as far as the promoting thing and everything else. That's fine. You know, you could say who you got it from, or whatever. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I double checked about that because I sort of didn't want to be like crossing the line and getting myself booted, but also wanted to be able to share some of the useful stuff that I do. And it's like, I just wanted to make sure, and yeah. So I'm pretty glad about that.
And some of the coolest things with this model is if you look like let's see if I can get it to zoom in good. Like right where the gray and the white match up. It's not focusing very well. They did such a good job when they separated the parts out that when you do glue it together, it flows so nicely. And and like all these talons and stuff like that, they were actually separate parts that you glue on. So so they did a good job separating out the parts. So you did have to do some gluing, like the horns here. The head was printed like this, and it's like right here is where the separator is, and you can barely tell it's there. But
nice.
And then you glue the horns on, and the teeth. I mean, printing the teeth like that was that I thought that was going to just like totally fail, and it's a really nice 45, so it printed off really great.
Some shapes, the fail looks right anyway, I've found.
Right.
Like some of the skulls that I print, I would let parts fail because they're somewhere that you don't see them anyway, and the failure isn't actually bad. Like you might have to pick a few boogies off it, and it saves you from using a massive chunk of support for an area that sort of bridged itself in its own weird, wrong, but still okay way. And that was initially through inexperience when I first did that, and I was like, well, hey, that worked, and I got interested in acceptable failures, and started sort of pushing the limits, and then started playing in mesh mixer more and just chopping the bit off that wasn't going to print, and saving a lot of time. But yeah, that's really cool. So that guy's designed that part from scratch in pieces, ready to print. He's a designer and someone that plans for 3D printing.
Yeah, so it's like I'd show a bunch of my other prints, but they're all pretty much green, and with the green screen, it doesn't come out very. You can't see it very good, because for whatever reason, I've been doing a lot more resin, working with Robbie Mack and TK, and doing a lot of the little minis and stuff like that. Getting a lot of those. Prior to that, I had done just a crap ton of terrain and everything, and I had this huge tower. I was so looking forward to taking this tower to Murph, because it was 3 towers, and they're like 10-inch towers, and they had multi-platform. They were like, one was like 7 levels, another was 10 levels. They had cross bridges that came across and everything else like that. But I couldn't set that up on my desk and show you guys. That would have too much. I might even have a picture I could probably pop in here or something, but yeah, so that's a lot of the stuff that I do. I mean, it's all, and right now it's a bummer because I can't get anybody over to play, so
Yeah.
Can't use any of my terrain. So that's been.
It's a bugger. I actually had a game of Warhammer 40k last night with a mate. That was cool.
Oh,
I haven't
really?
played for a little while. I got back into it sort of recently since I've been hanging out with him a bit, and yeah. So we had a game, and I shouldn't say that. I
Social
saw
distancing.
I saw
You
one
should have
person and played one game of Warhammer 40k.
If you stayed 6 feet away from them,
Yeah, we didn't
fine.
touch each other. It was cool.
No, I've seen people.
Sorry, but yeah, I printed some little Gene Stealer, some Carnifexes for him that we found on Thingiverse, and they came out mint, and I painted one of them up, and yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Shane?
I was going to say, what about if, I've seen people online where they're doing it with a D&D. Obviously, they can't. Well, I don't know. They could even do the miniatures, but just do like a StreamYard meeting or a Zoom meeting. And
We have.
Okay.
We have been.
Nice.
I was also thinking it'd be cool to do an augmented reality kind of a situation. I saw before
Most
one
of
of
these
the
guys aren't that technical.
showing that little cube thing. There was like a little cube thing that the guy showed off, and he was like rotating it, and it's that thing. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, these guys aren't that technical. These guys don't even want to play like the some of the popular virtual tabletops. They don't even want to use those. They're like, let's paper and pencil and that's it. And it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah,
guys.
I'm thinking
we've got technology. Let's use it.
I would love a phone app that you sit there on your table and like you go, I've got a Space Marine. He's shooting at an orc that's behind hard cover and he's got flak armor. And then it tells you whether he bloody lives or dies.
They probably have something out there. You would be surprised.
And part of what I was pitching, I was talking about it with my mate last night, but he was pretty tired and didn't quite follow what I was saying. But if the White Dwarf magazines have got the stories and the photos of the game, and they like document the game. How cool would it be if the app that you're using to read the rules and blah blah blah, and you're asking and telling what it does and blah blah blah, is also logging all that stuff for a write up, and you're actually meant to take photos throughout the game of the little skirmishes and stuff, and it like writes a little White Dwarf article for you at the end of it. How cool would that be?
That would be sweet. JT says you need some orange on.
Me? Oh, I could probably. Hang on, just give us a sec.
So, Shane, what have you been printing?
The usual stuff, but I do have. I have to do some tutorial videos for work, so I've been messing around with ASA and ABS prints. So I'm going to do a tutorial on vapor smoothing.
Nice.
Because I mean, it's I don't want to say difficult to do, but it's something it takes time with. But once you get it right, it's really good, and you don't see too many people doing it now.
Yeah.
There you go. He's got the orange.
There you go. Good job.
Hashtag all the orange. Hashtag all the orange.
This headpiece isn't going to let me wear that. I'll put this one on.
See, there you go. Now we're all orange. There you go, Mike.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good job.
Excellent. I'm going global.
Mike's like, I've got them all. And
I've covered a few continents already, haven't I?
Cool.
I have not played with Telspire, RC Maniac.
Oh yeah, I should bring up the chat too, shouldn't I? So I can see the. I'm here, but I'm looking over there.
It's okay. So how about this? We make it a little bit interesting because I'm pretty sure I know what he's gonna wear, and we'll kind of like offset this a little bit. Then we can play that Sesame Street game. One of these things is not like the other.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna bring on next is Josh from Alien 3D. He's a fellow.
I'm taking my chain off. I feel silly.
No, don't leave it. No.
Come on, Sam.
Okay, all right. You guys tell me to, so don't blame me, everyone.
Oh no. Hey,
I'll be like, who is this idiot with the chain? What's he think he's
the YouTube
doing?
People can settle down, okay? This is the orange hour. If
I lied about my
friends
that I just shared it with. My normal friends.
Come on, you got the Metallica shirt on. It fits with the chains.
Yeah,
exactly.
It does. All right.
Oh, he's even got the orange on too. Okay.
I figured he might.
Where do I get these shirts from? Did I miss something? When I got into that Discord chat, I thought I've clearly missed something, and I scrolled up thinking I better catch up. And I was like,
no,
there's no way. I'm not catching up. I'm not catching up.
So Mike's social media handle is Never Let the Machines Win. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And so then he was cool enough. He made some shirts for people at Murph.
Last year.
Yeah, Murph.
Yeah.
So he handed them out and everything else, right? So whenever Mike goes online on a stream or whatever he has on his shirt, he always promotes, the Team Orange, which is like basically just a stock Prusa. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, so when Joe came on, he knew he was going to be on with Mike, so he put on his shirt.
Yeah.
Mike was cool enough, made me one. So then I ran to grab it and everything else. I could have sworn Josh was going to have on his Alien 3D. Then I'm like, we can do this. One of these things is not like the other. And you completely threw me off.
Well, I heard people talking about t-shirts before, and I thought, well, I better at least get something t-shirts. So I'll get me a Metallica shirt. And it's like, I need to make some branded t-shirts. I really do. And I've been wondering how to do that. And I've decided I'm actually going to just open them up in Mesh Mixer, like my logo in Mesh Mixer, take some screenshots, buzz, done. Stick it on a t-shirt. So, because it's for me like I don't know how to vectify my logo and make it nice for printing. It's sort of a bit pixelated when I do that. So I was like, right, I've got it in 3D. I'll do that. So funny the mishmash of skills that I have. I've got so many holes in what I know, but then I've got such a diverse range of things that I know.
I hear you there.
Very weird unit.
My wife constantly tells me I have too many hobbies. She's always on me about too many hobbies.
Yeah, I'm hearing that.
I mean, I don't know if you caught what I was saying earlier, but paragliding is one of my other hobbies. So.
Oh, nice. I've got a friend
for me, I get high, but it's just it's in the sky.
Yeah, I've got a mate that's a hang glider, and some of the stuff I've seen, just the footage of him, and it's like, far out, man, that's awesome. But geez, that's scary stuff. I'm
afraid of heights, and I still go do it. Think about just the freedom of being up in the sky, and like it's just you in the sky. Yeah, you got your wing above you, or whether it's the the hang glider or the flex wing, with the paraglider. But it's just you, that, and just peace and quiet. There, and it's funny because everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, that's not safe. It's not safe," and it's like, "Oh my gosh." If you take the accidents that have happened in paragliding and you compare like numbers, it's more dangerous to drive a car.
Or ride a push bike next to the road or something.
Yeah, exactly, that too.
Yeah.
So we train hard and everything.
Like a lot of fun. So. I've had flying dreams, and it was because I had a pet crow or raven. Ooh. And it was really cool. Like I'd call him and I'd go, and he'd come down from the tree and land on my arm and like tease me with stuff and steal my money out of my pocket and make me use peanut butter to get the money back and like all sorts of cheeky stuff. It was cool. But I used to have these flying dreams. So I'd be flying with him. It was really cool. It was, and he's dead now. He got hit by lots of cars.
By the way, hi Josh. Hi Ben, man. Oh, no audio. I like the green hair.
Bottom left corner, Josh. Okay.
Maybe Shane's got to unmute him.
Shane's muted too.
Should mute me.
Josh, try now.
He's unmuted. No.
If you're on the app, move the mouse so the bottom toolbar appears. All the way bottom left-hand corner is the microphone. Hit up. Make sure that the right microphone is selected.
Okay. I was just doing a lag check or anything. I was wondering what I was waiting for.
Oh, no. The one thing I do like about this, though, if you start to talk and your microphone's muted, it comes up on your screen. It's like, your microphone.
You're muted.
Test.
Cool. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
There he is.
Well, that's my webcam mic, though. I don't know if it's going to sound
better than none.
Sound all right.
It's all right.
All right.
I like the green hair, Josh.
Thank you.
Looks good.
It's fading a little bit.
Makes you look like a pumpkin with the green on top of the orange.
There you go. You got the fade is good though. You got to get a little fade in there, you know. Get it in the beard.
Like I don't know if you saw it before. I had like it was more of my ooze color the last time I did it. But Sally's is closed because of the shutdown stuff. So
yeah, my wife cut my hair. First time she's ever cut my hair. That's why I have a hat on. There's a reason I have a hat on.
What was I think it was
hope your wife's not listening.
No.
Well, I think it was Filament Frenzy.
Texting her now.
Daughter gave him a haircut. And,
thanks, Mike.
And he like took the camera and zoomed right in. You could see she was trying to be artistic and do like these little patterns and everything else. Tried to. He's just like, I'm stuck at home. What am I gonna do?
Right.
I will have to say honestly, for my wife cutting my hair for the first time, she did really a really good job. I to the point where I've even said, you know what, I don't need to go to the barber anymore. You can cut my hair from now on. He's like, great.
How many rolls of filament do you get for a haircut, cost wise? Just saying.
Yeah. Well, one.
It's a free roll of filament.
Yeah. She won't see it that way.
All I can do is try, man.
No, it's a great idea.
When I was living in Prague, to find a barbershop or a hairstylist that spoke English, usually I had to pay a little bit extra. I'm like, forget about it. And just when would just sit there and shave my head every 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah,
by the way, John Mack, he sent me the hat.
Nice. Nice job.
Yes, he did an amazing job on it. Why do I still have my safety glasses on?
I was wearing my John Mack hat earlier.
Oh, that's cool.
What I did with it.
Oh my gosh, Sam, that is amazing.
It is cool.
Does that go over your head?
No, it's a toilet roll holder. So the toilet paper comes out the mouth. I want to automate it. No joke. I want to automate it so that when you put your hand near it, a sensor triggers it, and it like really quickly spurts toilet paper out, like just way too much.
That would be awesome.
Slurps it back in again when you take your hand away. So like I've got to work out how to do that. But have you ever seen someone like hook up a hairdryer to a toilet roll or like a leaf blower to a toilet roll?
Yeah.
I'm thinking something like that, like just something ridiculous, like stupid, Obviously, at the moment, that's awesome. Not going to go. That's going to go down like a lead balloon with the toilet paper at the moment.
You put a stepper motor on it, and you got
tons of it here.
Yeah. Just control and back and forward. Even a drill, you actually just put a toilet roll on a drill. You can have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I got to say, the toilet paper isn't as big of an issue around here at the moment anymore. Not anymore. It gets cleared up over the last 2 weeks. Now I've got to say the bigger issue has been meat. There's never meat on the shelves in the stores.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting.
I have to go to different stores because like Walmart, forget about it. They have nothing. But I'll go to like Publix or whatever, and they're all set. They have plenty on there. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think depends where you go.
Steering it back away from Corona for a bit.
No, you're fine.
But by the way, one of the things I was going to say about that is when you said it's not a hat, it's a toilet paper dispenser. I was going to say, well, I guess for some people it would be the same thing.
But yeah, so this was designed from a ring. I'm trying to spot one of the rings. I've always got them just laying around the place, but they're a ring. I don't know how exactly to pronounce the guy's thing, but it's like Dasakai on Thingiverse. Dasaki. And it was a skull ring that he had designed, and I went and split it off into 2 colors to be a 2-colored skull ring and this and that. And then I read on the rules of the license that it was, not commercial and not also. It also had like a don't modify it one. And so I messaged him and said, hey dude, sorry, I modified it. Here's a copy of it. Do you want it? And blah, blah, blah. And would you mind changing it to a different license so that I can print it to sell? And sure enough, he actually did. And I was like, "You're a legend." And I was like, and I looked at his profile. He looked like a fellow metalhead, and I was like, "Yeah, metalheads rule."
Well, you know what? My philosophy is in life is if you don't ask, you're not going to get. So you might as well.
Hey, exactly. That's right. Yeah, yeah. And it had been on Thingiverse for quite a while, and anyway. So yeah, I turned it into a gigantic toilet roll holder, and yeah, that's the story.
I can't wait.
It's also a cool face mask.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do a video on that once you get the toilet paper screaming out of that.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Well, it's going to take a remake, and even as it is, just to be functional, it needs to have like a better system for holding the roll in. They kind of fall out easily, so it's still in a working process. And as you can imagine, without making some miniature toilet rolls to test with, it's like iterations on this are a bit expensive.
Yeah. Well, you know what you could do is if you're going to do modifications to it, do it modular, so that the inside parts are all separate parts, and you have your outside shell is always one piece.
That's brilliant,
and then you can
man.
clip your pieces in that you're doing your modifications on.
Thinking about that now, that's actually a very good idea, because you could save a lot of plastic even as well.
All right, I'm done for the day. I came up with one good idea.
Hashtag life goals.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Because I was surprised by it. Like, you sort of design it on the computer, and then you go to print it, and like it's like nearly 2 kilos and like 4 days, and
I have been finding a lot of things that I printing them modularly has it saves time, it saves filament, it saves waste, it saves headache.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, playing around with the pegs in Mesh Mixer and making things so that you can just chop an arm off and peg it back on again and stuff like that. Save all the support.
Yeah,
because that's so much just gets cooked in support now. Like that's like 30 grams of filament or something there, just in a block of support.
That's why, like, for me, the multi-material stuff, it looks amazing, but I couldn't justify doing it, with those waste blocks and stuff.
There's no waste block at all on what I do. I'd never use a prime tower or anything like that, or a ooze shield. The T-Rex with the 2 extruders just doesn't drip, because one's parked over there out of the way while the other one's printing, and then they switch. And I rigged the G code.
Yeah, multi-extruder is the best way to go. Yeah, I have the palette, and I did a 1-inch tall 5-color orc. I think it was Wexter's or Fotis's, one of the two. And it took like 24 hours to do a 1-inch.
Wow. Because of the time on the purge block?
The purge block was tiny, but I mean, it just, because of all the color switches and purges and everything, it took like 24 hours to do like a 1-inch 5-color orc. I wish I knew where it was.
Yeah, I always find it amazing how, especially slicing small figures, there's more work in slicing a small figure than there is in slicing a big one sometimes, or most of the time. Because you've got to be more careful with your support, and there's just that delicateness of miniatures compared to bigger figures, and making sure that support's not going to engulf it and destroy it. Whereas if it was bigger, you can sort of just hack at it more easily without the daintiness of it all.
It was a 1-inch version of this.
Yeah, nice. That's cool.
And it came out
that's
pretty
sweet.
Decently, but it just took way too long. I haven't used my my palette since.
I have so little of my actual prints because I give them away, or all my minis are over packed up right now because I packed the basement's trash because I'm still, unfortunately, 9 months into a remodel on a bathroom because I stopped touching it. I guess October. I haven't done any work on it. I'm just starting to get back into finishing up the tile work in the shower. The rest of the bathroom's done. I just got to finish the tile work. That is awesome, Sam. It just,
coming around there. There's my Z seam. It's a little tiny bit bulgy, but I'm stoked with these, man. Like that's, and that prints with no support, dudes.
That's awesome.
No support whatsoever, and there's some tiny dangles that happen under this. I was talking before about the intentional fails. Like there's 2 boogies hang off that, and I snap them off, and then I run a lighter and just squish the bits that are a bit spread out up. And I could potentially tweak that even more, but the original
now, are you
skull
you're using a
downloaded,
lighter to heat it up?
Yeah, just a jet flame, yeah. And you don't put the jet flame directly on it. You wave it away from it and further than you'd think. You hold one up to a tissue. Hold one up from a tissue and see how far away you can burn a tissue from, and you'll get an idea of how far away you actually use a jet flame from the plastic.
Now, you think the jet flames are better than like the hot air guns?
Yeah, I think so, because it's quicker. It's like you can heat the surface without penetrating to the rest of it.
Okay, cool.
Does that make sense? Like a flash with a hotter flame can like wisp away the wisps and like melt sort of the thickish but not solid bits of plastic kind of without melting the rest, if that makes sense. You can kind of, you've got a bit of control if you're careful with it and you know what you're doing. You get used to it, and you can you can really control which bit melts, which bit doesn't, and then give it a quick poke with your wet finger and sculpt a bit. Like it takes me like maybe 30 seconds to clean up a skull after it prints, and there's no waste. So I'm pretty stoked with that. And that's a planter pot. I've got junk in there at the moment, but yeah. So that's that. I've put most of my designs on Thingiverse. Anything that I haven't, I mean to. I do so many different iterations of things. It's hard to even keep on top of it.
Yeah,
I can only imagine.
But the teeth on that were fun as well. I found that the teeth used to actually print without support anyway, but there was gaps between the teeth, and I actually merged them so that the teeth just print up from one to the other without any dramas.
Yeah, so they touch.
Whereas it used to kind of just work, but there would be like a little boogie of like badness between the teeth that you'd pick out, and it still looked good, but it was a bit unpredictable. And sometimes I'd get these weird fails where the back teeth would snap off, side shift, still print, but be crooked, and like they would be joined on crooked to the top. So it was like it was like someone had chopped his mouth with a sword or something and like chunk out of his jaw.
Hey, maybe that's how he passed away. You never know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, oh, they look cool enough anyway. Like, and I'd melt them a bit and make it a bit. I love skulls because they look awesome no matter how badly they print. So for testing stuff, like, I don't know, I don't use benchies, I don't use temp towers, I don't do any of that. I just print stuff and see how it goes and get a feel for it. Because when you're printing big things, those little temp towers are useless in my opinion, because you're demanding a lot higher flow rate when you're doing big, long, straight, fast lines, because your printer actually gets up to its top speed. Whereas on a small, like on those temp towers, you'd be very lucky if you ever actually print at your top speed. Like if you slice one and look in Cura at your speeds, you'll find that it's actually all moving slow, because you've got your layer minimum layer time in your cooling settings, which will slow your print down to a speed based on how long your layer is going to take. So you tell it, I don't want any layer to be finishing any faster than 10 seconds. It will slow a fast layer down so that it prints in 10 seconds or longer.
Gotcha.
So your speed's being affected straight off the bat. It's not even printing at the speed that you're going to print. And then you don't have like the length of extrusions that you'd have. So I find that if you were going to print a large object and you wanted to find the optimum temperature for that plastic for that object, you'll find that a little temp tower will give you a reading that's probably colder than what you really want. So a lot of people's jams that they're experiencing when they're printing big is because they're using small temp towers, and they're finding that, oh, hang on, when I'm demanding this flow, it's just not happening. And you either have your teeth slipping on the filament and grinding and then it jams up, or you just get under extrusion and they're like, what's going on? And often it's just because they're printing too cold. And most of the people I find that are printed too cold are the ones that have done the temp towers. So it's that's just my opinion. And for minis, they're perfect. If you're printing minis and you want to get your support to separate, the temp tower is perfect.
Yeah,
because it's the right size.
I'll have to run that.
Mini.
I do most of my minis on my under 3, just because that's typically the minis that I print. The profile that's put out there for that particular company is it's optimized for Cura, and everything else like that. And the minis come off when I do them on FDM, come off just absolutely amazing. And
Yeah,
like I was saying earlier, that was kind of where it sparked my, thought process, when I showed you the Dragon and with it being split up and everything, is a lot of times that's what they're doing with that company. He does with his minis, he does them supportless. So you don't have to have any supports. Now he has some of them that has like a support built in. So it's already pre-built into the model, and you you just break, and it's typically only like one support, and you just break it off. But a lot of the other ones, like if it's got like some of them I've seen, like he's got like an orc will be holding a spear over his head, double fisted like this, and what he does is inside the wrists, he balls it out inside the wrists, so the hands come off, and then you print the spear straight up and down next to the model itself, and then you just glue it in. You know what? Everybody who's seen my minis are like, oh, you can't even tell those things are glued together. So it's all about being good with finding the right spots to do your separation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to play with Luban. I've actually got the license for it, and I'm a bastard. I really am. The guy gave me a license, and I'm just so proficient with Mesh Mixer. I just find it so hard to get into the workflow of a different program. I've installed it a couple of times and updated it, and just never found like time to get into the workflow. And it's so different to what I'm used to, and so I really owe it to him to actually learn the damn program, because it's got a lot of features for doing that kind of automatically. And it would be really good. Have you guys played with Luban or not?
I never even heard of it.
I actually, I don't know if you ever saw my 12-foot tall community print of the alien. I actually used Luban to cut it up.
Cool. How did you find it?
Somebody told me about it and gave me a link to it. This is like 2 years ago, though.
Yeah,
a year and a half ago now.
Guys, 1 second, okay? Because I really want to bring in our next guest participant, person to hang out and chill with, who's really cool. For some of you, you've seen people print on fabric, different designs and everything else, like dragon scales or other different types of item. And this gentleman has really pushed the different types of designs and how you can do it and everything else, whether it be for, even making a full
dress.
Not a dress, but like out on the town gown type of thing, to the scales that can be used for, a cosplay, or a lot of different other things. So I will bring on now Mr. David Shorey.
David Shorey!
Nice.
Just waiting for everything to...
Says it's connecting, yeah.
Yep.
Don't mind me being slightly off to the side. I'm just checking the chat.
Okay.
See.
I don't know if David Shorey has a Never Let the Machine Runs shirt.
Not yet.
Oh, if he's got one, that'll be awesome.
Unless he made one, I don't know. Not hard. I make them.
All right, so I guess... Oh,
there he is.
There he is.
Hey. I figured it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Shorey.
Hello.
Hello, David.
Hello, sir.
Hey, David.
All right.
I like the very...
Look at him showing off.
I was going to say the very gothic / vampire setup. Got the black background, the red dress, the red trim on your chair, the black shirt.
Yeah, try to go for it. Excellent. Well, I didn't have the orange shirt, so
Sorry, man.
That's quite all right.
I actually wore this shirt last week. I had to get it out of my hamper. That's why it's all wrinkled. But I saw everybody else wearing it, so I was like, crap, I got to get mine.
Well, if anything, I put it on because, Joe gave a really good, like, hey, the shirt and everything else. I'm like, I know I have it. So I just quickly went to go and change.
Yeah, I've done this to Mike a couple times on different streams and stuff like that. Where I knew he was going to be on there. I'm like, hey, here you go.
At least they get used a little bit. When I first made them, I thought people would just throw them in a drawer and wipe their dog's feet with them or something.
No, it's like all my 3D printing related shirts and my gamer shirts, I cycle through them.
I'm the same way, Josh. Yeah. I've already trashed my my E3D shirt. I had a really nice one from Murphy last year, and I already trashed it because I wore it so much. You know, my Chris's Basement one, I've tried to make sure that one and this one, and I haven't ruined them yet.
I'm similar with the Hackaday SuperCon t-shirts.
Yeah. I'm a total geek, so it's like geek shirts are all I wear.
Mine were a lot of comic book t-shirts. My wife got tired. She's been throwing them away.
I got one better for you. Before I got married, I was in the Czech. Actually, yeah, I went there to get married, so I was living there for 3 months, and for like after 4 or 5 weeks, I'm sitting there like, my shirts are getting really tight, and I'm like, I'm getting mad. So I'm like, there's no way I can gain this much weight. What the, and I'm just sitting there, right?
She was purposely shrinking them?
Yes! She's sitting there driving and starts convulsing like this. And I'm like, oh my God, she's having a seizure. She pulls over and starts howling, laughing. I'm like, what's wrong? What are you okay? She's like, I've been putting him in the dryer for extra time. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm stuck in a foreign country. Yeah, because I was stuck in a foreign country.
Oh man,
it was $10,000 to move back. So wow. 10,000, few t-shirts.
Shane, is that uneaten food behind you? Did you make dinner and then not eat?
Okay, I have 11 hours. Yeah, 11 hours is left. This was part of my dinner. In probably about another 5 hours, so I'm going to get hungry. So that's going to be my snack.
Wait, what is it?
You already missed the review. I'm not doing the Vanna White display.
No, I don't want a Vanna White. Just what is it? Is it chicken?
Pizza.
It's pizza.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was
like 2 days, something like that.
That's 2 points for chicken.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, how is this chicken?
Hey, Josh, I called out barbecued ribs.
Okay, the barbecue ribs I can understand.
I could see barbecue. I'm definitely on team barbecue.
Well, I was just thinking if it was chicken and it sits there for another 5 hours, then by the time the stream ends, your butt's going to be on the toilet and not being able to move.
Oh yeah.
But pizza, no, I've let pizza sit out for like days and still eating it.
Oh yeah. I made chicken quesadillas earlier, Josh. So I don't know if that counts.
I got some buy one get one free frozen enchiladas. I went shopping earlier.
I've actually done a lot more cooking lately. I never expected that I would ever do that, but
well, it's like I really hate dishes, so the bachelor life.
Yeah, those I remember.
I've got a kitchenette. Not as sexy as it sounds.
Well, it's like
I've been getting by with like a toasted sandwich press, a microwave, and like boiling water and pouring it over things.
You know what? I got to say, before married and kids, I do remember it was like always it was just frozen food all the time, just microwave.
Yeah, I can't stand it, but it's just like at the moment I'm just too busy working and printing and trying to keep my business afloat during this whole crazy thing, and so it's been pretty hectic to try and manage that and just try not to go out, and so frozen party pies has been popular.
That's been the fun one for me is I've got the kids home, and because my wife goes into work because she works in finance, and just trying to feed those kids, during the day. Every time I turn around, I'm down here working at my desk, for work and everything. And I'll like turn my head, and my son will be just standing there looking at me going, I'm hungry. And I'm like, you just ate 20 minutes ago. What are you hungry again? I'm like, you're going to be huge by the time we go back to doing anything.
Oh, dear.
Then again, 5 years old, he'll burn it off.
One of my daughters has got a bit of a blood sugar problem where if she doesn't eat dinner and wakes up the next morning, she can be low on blood sugar and like get a bit blue and a bit passy-outy. And
that's not good.
not cool. But we're on top of it now that we know what it is. At first, we had no idea why she dropped, and then it's terrible. It was so scary. But now that we're managing it, it's totally fine. But can't do the whole. You're not getting your dessert if you don't eat your dinner. Can't do that. She's got to have something. So it's like, so it's really hard to discipline a child who has to eat carbs, or they are going to have problems the next day. Like because they want the carb stuff, but you also want them to eat their other dinner. So like, it's really, you can't just let them just have pasta, but you sort of got to let them. You got to make them eat some. And sometimes, man, like he just doesn't want to eat the thing that you've got there for her to eat, and so you end up like bending rules that you would have otherwise been strict on so that she can get some tucker into her that she has to. So you're like, okay, you can have corn chips, fine.
Yeah, my boy, it's chicken noodle soup. That's all he wants to eat. Chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup. Every time I turn around, Daddy, chicken noodle soup. We make probably like once or twice a week. We will make like homemade chicken noodle soup just so that he's not getting the canned stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
But then what my wife does,
start slipping a few veggies in there.
Oh yeah, she'll blend them up in the NutriBullet. She'll blend it up in there and then put it in the soup. He has no idea.
That's awesome. My kids are great, man. Like I can give my kids a capsicum and say, "Here you go," and they're like, "Yeah, capsicum," or like a cucumber, and they're like, "Yeah, cucumber."
So now my 10-year-old, she's good that way. That's the 5-year-old boy. He's so it must be something that I don't know, difference between boys and girls eating, because I was always a horrible eater too. So that's the reason I'm as big as I am right now.
I'm still convinced that I can eat food without it affecting me. I'm like, it's affecting me. It's affecting me. I can't.
Yeah, I felt that way until I hit about 35, and well, after that, it's gone downhill.
Yeah. Crap. Yeah, I have to get back into labor jobs again.
So, David Shorey.
Yeah.
So your their background, that thing is just man,
thank you,
amazing looking.
So yeah, I used some of the fabric that I printed on, and then the light above me there is 3D printed on fabric. I 3D printed on a cotton, and then same thing with this my kind of homage to the Flash Gordon movie with it. But yeah, the light here, let me see if I can bring it down here and show it a little bit more.
I zoomed in on you.
Yeah, so this is basically the little the little squares are 3D printed separately, and then I attached them after the fact and inset them into the rest of it. So, and then I used the wooden dowels and snapped it all together. So each one of these pieces is like a 4-step process in order to actually get it 3D printed, which is kind of hilarious.
That is so cool.
So
that's awesome. Very nice.
It's a really good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you pull the fabric tight on some kind of frame before you printed?
I tape it down with blue tape.
Yeah.
So I use blue tape to basically stretch it over the canvas, and then I go from there.
Yep. Sweet. Perfect.
So
cool.
I completely missed they were having a conversation when we were talking about the food. They were talking about it in the chat.
I missed the conversation.
Guys, got someone.
Did you need me to hop out, Shane?
No.
Okay,
all
right.
Worst case right now, I can still keep it 6. I could pop my video out because I've been doing some stuff behind the scenes and everything else. So I'm going to bring our next guy in. For those of you who went to some events, you've seen a guy walk around with a Delta backpack printer.
Mitch!
Yep, the one, the only Mitch. But see, Mitch is on here twice for some reason, so it could be like, Mitch 1 or Mitch 2 or good Mitch and bad Mitch.
Yeah, I don't know how I got in so early. I thought I was on later with JT.
Yeah, you were, but I was like,
earlier it was 3D printing Mitch. Now it's robot Mitch.
Or maybe like
Mitch.
one Mitch is the backpack printer, and then the other one, Mitch, and he's got the orange on. But he's doing the Brady Bunch thing. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
I think he's muted.
Yeah, it looks like he looks muted from here. From what I can see, it looks muted.
Yeah.
I do have to...
Hey.
Now he's in. There he is.
There you go.
Yeah, you can disconnect the other one.
Oh, cool. Mitch is here.
Yahoo!
How you doing, sir?
What's up? Oh yeah.
Nice shirt.
Sorry,
We're invading.
there you go. Okay.
Another follower.
What's funny is we're all in the U.S. and the one Canadian has us wearing all of his shirts.
Also, I gotta say, Josh, Josh and Mitch, it's really good to see you again. So
yeah, good to see you. I haven't seen you since Earth.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I can see myself twice. Hold on. Something's going on.
I can see Shane's empty picture up the top of the Zoom chat, but on YouTube it looks normal. Hi, Mitch. You're
I don't know
a
what's
legend.
going on. I
You're
hear
a legend,
myself.
Mitch. I love your
Thank you.
backpack Delta system, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's at my office right now, so.
Oh, good. Oh, good. We'll forgive you.
Hey, David, you remember the conversation we had at Earth about you? We're looking for somebody to wear like robotic stuff.
the robotic stuff.
What's going on with you? Some kind of exosuit you had told me about.
Okay.
I was working. One of the things I was working on, and now it's totally relevant, is a lot of my remote physical work stuff that I was working on. So I was working on things to basically do jobs like I wanted to drop in rings or something like that into the printer, but and develop these different technologies for that. And now that all of this has happened, now a lot of that has become super relevant. You know, one of the things that I'm really looking at is ones for doing remote high quality photo shoots. So a lot of times you know, it's like I want to shoot models for the fashions and stuff like that. So I want to have control over, say, a DSLR, but I want to have, you know, control the pan and tilt and then be able to, from a desktop, you know, 10 miles away or whatever, hit the button, flash off the strobes, and then eventually save that photo. So that's one of the things that I'm working on the side, is trying to develop these systems, because there's a lot of webcam type controls and then security cam controls as far as like panning and tilting and stuff like that. But nothing that I have found, unless somebody else in the chat or here knows of it, that can control a DSLR and be able to send it and then either just save it on the card or send it back via email after the fact. You know,
you could use a shutter release cord and find some way to send a signal down the cord. You know, like probably hook it up to an Arduino instead of the shutter release cord or something. But I don't know enough about Arduino. But I know people definitely know how to do that. Because imagine that shutter release cord just sends a signal. Like there'd be, I guess there's a current coming up into it and then one coming back down, and it's just a switch. So imagine that it's just a case of finding a way to trip that switch with any kind of...
there's remotes, shutter release and stuff like that. The thing that I'm looking at is the idea that I want a contained system that I can give to a model and go, here, just set this up, and I can control it remotely. So ideally, it would be something that would almost be controlled over just a regular like a texting signal or something that.
Yeah.
If it has to connect to their network, so be it. But really, it's that connection point where is going to be, I think, the issue. I can do all the setups here and do that remotely and everything like that, but logging into it and figuring out
all that stuff,
IP address and everything like that is going to be really tough.
Well, I would think if you had a phone with like a mobile hotspot,
exactly,
you should be able to control it that way. Speaking of Arduino, how have you officially released your coding site yet?
The toting site?
Yeah, your coding site where
basically that is up on my Patreon, and all you have to do is sign up for it. You don't even have to pay any money. You just have to sign up for it and shoot me a message on Patreon, and I will send you the web link to it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because with my projects I do every month, I do a lot of Arduino stuff. So I thought that would be extremely helpful.
Oh, yeah, it's really cool. And then I also just added a couple of weeks ago. It's not fully in everything, but it's enough that it actually works to the sonar. So you can set up the sonar. So if you want to do a remote sensor for, say, a soap dispenser or something like that, you can totally do a hands-free soap dispenser that gets controlled by a motion sensor and a servo mechanism.
Well, see, 3D Dev was talking about doing a toilet paper dispenser.
Oh yeah,
there you go, right there.
I was just about to chime in and say that. Yeah. when you get that going, let me know, and I'll just tweak it and use it to signal me explosive toilet paper dispenser.
You got to show him that. You got to show him that that skull.
Oh, did you miss it? Oh, yeah, he might have missed it. Yeah, I'll pull it up.
I don't know if he was on.
I saw a little bit of the skull. So that's an actual toilet paper dispenser.
Yeah, but I want to mechanize it so that it has so people go, oh, that's the toilet paper dispenser, okay, and they go to grab it and it just shoots toilet paper out at a ridiculously high volume. Half empties the roll on them straight up, just like.
I can't wait to see the video on that.
Whether it's an RC motor and that spins the roll, or whether it's somewhere hidden in the wall, there's a duct for a leaf blower, and it just just goes mental at them. So I just think that'd be fun, but I'd love it to be reversible, so it could actually suck it back in as well. So it didn't
there you go.
Waste the toilet paper. It just goes like. It'd be pretty bad.
The best
barks the toilet paper out at him.
The best meme that I saw with the toilet paper was that beards are good, mullets are bad.
Oh, that's the over/under.
Yep.
I just shaved mine off yesterday. I was all scruffy.
A mullet?
No.
That's the haircut his wife gave him.
No, there's no way my wife will let me have a mullet. Oh God. She would if I was to go and do a mullet, my wife would cut her hair like pixies, and it would drive me crazy.
I could just shave the sides and do the whole mullet.
Oh my gosh, Josh, that would be so cool.
No.
Especially with the beard. With the beard. That would, yeah. Big old bushy beard.
They're no good for face masks, are they? The beards. It doesn't work very well.
No.
It slides around on your face. I need one that's heaps bigger, like a massive face mask.
That would be hilarious, though. Big old bushy beard, shaved sides. And then the green hair.
Yeah, I'd have to go out in public every day.
All you gotta do then is just wear that little face mask, and then they wouldn't even recognize you.
I found this. This is pretty rare. It's an old MakerBot LED
MakerBot.
strip that you can make yourself for the old MakerBot cupcake. I think I got this from Brie Pettis back at like Maker Faire, like 2010 or something.
Wow.
I don't remember anything about it except for like, I think he just handed these out or something. But I have like an old parts drawer, so it's like old relays and stuff that I pulled out, and like an old text-to-speech chip. I don't know, it's just really interesting throwback for me of all the electronic stuff I worked on in the past. This is for a costume, these 10 millimeter LEDs.
Nice.
Yeah, we have a Mauser Electronics is actually, they're based here in Texas.
That's super cool.
Yeah, and also Alloy Electronics is too. So,
what do you control those LEDs with?
These are just 3 volt. I actually had a Max chip. I forgot what the chip model is, but it was a 8x8 matrix LED matrix driver that I used for a costume that I came up with. I had a piece of polycarbonate and I drilled 64 holes and glued the LEDs in and made my own matrix, my own 8x8 matrix. And I used it as a face shield for a costume. It's like a steampunk costume. So I programmed this so it scrolled messages, but I could see what people are doing. It was kind of fun. I just wanted to do an LED matrix, and now they just took all the fun away by making them addressable and easy to make.
Easy to do.
Kids these days have it easy.
Right.
Well,
All they have to do is program it. They don't have to wire it or anything.
The reason I was asking is because like my train pieces are 2 inch by 2 inch, or I can make bigger train pieces as well. But on the walls, sometimes people have been doing like sconces with flames and stuff like that. It's got kind of like a a sconce with a flame or something like that, and that would be and they've done where they put the incandescent light bulb in there, and then they just hook
that, or it's like a flickering LED.
Yeah. So
Joe, did you got the UFO last March, right, with the flashers?
Yes.
I think they have like orange and red color flashers you could probably do. I don't know.
I'll have to check that out and see if maybe I can take that apart and use that instead. Because what I'd like to do is take like the trains and find a way to. So when the trains clip together with like a specific like, oh heck, I think I usually have these things all over the place. But they've got little like clips that each block will clip into each other. Mm-hmm. And then what I'd like to do is on those particular pieces, find a way where I could like even use a magnet so that I could power like a whole strip of them off of one thing, rather than, because what they were using is they were using they were doing those, like I said, those little incandescent lights, and then they would just connect one side to the little 232 batteries, right, one to each side. But so then you had to, when you're done with your game, you had to go through and you have to unplug each one and pop it apart in order to pull the batteries out of each one. Otherwise, batteries go dead after a while, just being on forever. So I want to find some way, I don't want to have to put on and off switches, but if I could like daisy chain them together or something underneath.
You definitely do that with magnets. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be a really cool idea with that. That's why I was sorry. I killed the flow of the conversation.
That's fine.
I was, because Mitch pulled that up, and I'm like, oh, hey, maybe that would work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about things with lights in them. I thought I might pull up my project that was for lights. So that's I don't know if anyone's into fire spinning or poi or any of that stuff, but that's flow arts. That's a poi that's designed so that it can pivot. So if you want to tie streamers to it, it doesn't jam up. So there's actually a skate bearing inside there, and this is actually it's not proper cord, but it's actually a power cord. But yeah, so I've got to make a light module that fits inside that yet, and actually there's some rings that clamp around that so that the light module won't fly out. Yeah, so the idea is just to spin them around and flashy lights and whatnot, but I want to program it so that it does cool things. So
that's sweet.
It's kind of based on the pod poi. That's a bought one. And that's got a light module in it, which is dead because it got wet. So I don't want that to happen to the ones I design. Yeah, so that was a cool project. That was designed in Mesh Mixer.
Yeah, there's for just like obviously like rave fingers and stuff. People have designed custom programmable, RGB LED glowers. So I mean, they're definitely out there.
I want to find like a nice, neat drop-in module that I can just pop in my designs. It's got wireless charging built in, and that'd be nice. But I mean, wireless charging for it's probably actually not as silly as it sounds to make a module that's a wireless charging battery pack device that can charge wirelessly.
Yeah, there's a lot of
stuff. You can
stuff
drop it
from
in your 3D printed parts. It makes sense.
From like SparkFun and like Adafruit, where everything's pretty modular to the point where you can, as long as you can get the voltages right, you can pretty much plug and play.
Yeah, that's right. I found these really cool little things. That's a 9-volt battery with a USB port in the back of it. You can't see that because the camera's not showing it, but yeah, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's really cool.
Charge it up in the USB.
That's really cool.
The cool thing about it is it's a little brick that just slides into a design, so you can basically make a, it's a neat little interface at the front. You can hide that, and it's quite tidy. So you can have
cool thing would be you could take that and lock it inside, and then leave the little slot where the USB's open.
Yep, exactly.
So you can just pop the USB
you
for
could potentially pop it in and print it into it, so it never comes out again, if you wanted. And or pop in from the bottom or something, and then have a little lid, but you can still charge it without having to access it. Yeah,
that's
so there's
sweet.
Yeah, I thought they were really, really cool.
I've not seen those yet. That is so awesome.
Yep. I'm flogging them on my website, but you can just get them off AliExpress too.
I'm trying to figure out what this kind of stuff is like. These are like for walkie-talkies or cell phones or something. Not cell phones, but like old cordless phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, it's just like oddball batteries. This came out of like a wireless something or another. Like, I've had this stuff forever, but like, you don't want to just keep batteries around.
Yeah, no, I've got like a couple of boxes with batteries in, and I was sort of like, I should probably put them like at least in a jar that they can't leak on other things.
This is a project.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
These are solenoids that I bought for a project. I was going to make a kind of like a dot matrix printer, how they have like a row of pins that go in and out. Like, they're basically little solenoids, and they would, fire depending on the letter, and as it went across, it'd make the letter on the tape. But I was trying to do something like that, but with a magnadoodle. I don't know if you remember those. They're like magnetic displays. Yep. So like basically a dot matrix printer that uses a magnadoodle surface. But I could never get it to work.
Cool as hell.
Yeah, it's like the solenoids are huge, so like I had to figure out a way to get it small. Like, this was before I had the 3D printer stuff, before the MakerBot stuff. I mean, this is like stuff from 2008, 2010.
Could you use electromagnets in the back of a magnadoodle to just turn it on and off?
I thought about that too. I think I tried it. It didn't work as well as I thought it would work. Now that I know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I reckon if you put one in the back and just had it so that you reverse the polarity, you would think it would like push the particles and pull the particles, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that the concept of how the Kindles, the
ink.
Those are electrostatic.
The e-ink.
Yeah, those are more electrostatic, but it's a similar thing.
I've got an E-pen kind of a doobie here, and I'll just find a pen for it.
Hey, David Shore, somebody asked a question about what you got behind you there.
Oh, what I got behind me, between the light and the dress that I was working on there. So it's basically 3D printed on fabric. So that's my big shtick, is doing 3D printing where you're embedding fabric into the print by printing essentially like 2 or 3 layers. Then I pause the print and then I drop the fabric in to do that. So that's my big thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was 3D printing and painting was asking.
Okay. So.
And Joe, I don't know why they're so bright on here, but I really think these flasher lights, you might be able to find some different colors for your thing, but these are the lights that came in the UFO.
Yeah, I remember
March.
that. Yeah, I remember that when I built it.
And you don't need to program them because they're all they have the chip inside that do the flashing. So all you'd have to do is power them.
I didn't even think
Nice.
about that. Because it was on one board, I didn't know if I could really like separate it out.
Oh yeah, with the LEDs, as long as you have, like with the 2032s, you don't really need it because they're not powerful enough. But as long as you have a resistor in there,
and that's what they're doing. They're using that same little light like that, and they got the resistor, and then they just hook them to the 2032s. But okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's all you need, and these lights have little chips in them, so they automatically change colors.
Oh yes, they're the ones that have got the IC built into the head, the lens of the LED itself. So it looks like a regular LED, but it's got the IC built into it.
And I'll reach out to you, Josh,
saw them, my mind
find out where you got those from. So
I actually have about 200 left over from last year. I could send you some.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where, like, as an example, like when the guys showed up, when I did the towers, I took a big box and I put it in the middle of the table, and they're sitting there and they're just like itching for me to lift this box up, and I think I left that box on the table for like 45 minutes. And they're like, so it's like every time they come to play, they're like, all right, what new things you got now? Like I think you saw at the Murph last year, my bar scene. When I pulled that bar scene out, they were like, bar fire, yeah. So, but yeah, it's stuff like that where I can just get that much little bit more, cool things in there. I think that, it just puts a little bit more in for it, whether they care or not, I like it.
And I think they have slow flashers too. Like these ones randomize between slow and fast. But I think they have specifically slow ones that you could do that will like dim and fade if you're not looking for a quick flicker. So,
yeah. All right.
Definitely options out there.
Cool. All right.
That would be
thanks for the idea.
For you. Yeah.
So one of the other things I did was you might have seen.
I want that purse.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah. So this is after I saw the Star Hopper launch, I decided to make a purse based on it, and so this is the Star Shopper.
That is wicked cool. That is wicked cool, man.
It is nice.
So, yeah, I just did the 3D printing on the fabric, and then built it in.
And it's so weird because you can't even really tell that's 3D printed. I mean, they look like sequins, like it was sequins on there.
So this sequin stuff is actually part of the fabric itself. So this like mirrory shine. So like once I saw the video, it was like, I have something that will be mirrory like the stainless steel that goes on. So what can I do with that? And then I just decided to do the different things, and then modeled the entire thing up in like Fusion 360, added all these little doodads and stuff like that for the supports, and then actually put rivets to hold the things together. So
cool.
So gosh, the design on that, David, is awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So
yeah.
So
you
cool.
How do you design cloth stuff in Fusion?
I tend to go with the whole square peg round hole design principle of making. So a lot of the stuff is really kind of trial and error, where you're trying to figure out, like, some of it you can do some unroll surface stuff and treat it like sheet metal sometimes. That's the cool. Other thing that I have used in the past is Rhino, which has like an unroll surface modifier. And they have another one which is awesome. So if that doesn't work because of the way that the thing is distorted on two like axes, they have another part called Smash, which will just flatten the thing out. And the icon is a cat getting run over.
Excellent.
So I found that out through a lot of people who do like set work that's laser cut, like plywood and stuff like that, and need to have like compound curves or need to have like curved surfaces. They will design it up in, say, something like SketchUp, but then use Rhino to flatten the thing out.
Ah.
It's mesh mixer doesn't have anything like that, does it? Like an
Not that
unravel.
I've seen.
I don't.
Maybe, but I haven't found it.
Yeah, I don't. There's some tools in Fusion if you use the sheet metal tools, and there's some in like SolidWorks, but the one that basically is really the one that I think a lot of people actually use for this stuff is the tools inside Rhino, because I don't know of any other program that has that kind of unwrapping without it being a expensive third-party plugin. I know there is a third-party plugin for stuff, but
Not
and
Blender?
I know that Blender, I have not seen it, but it may be something where you are doing some kind of almost like UV unwrap, kind of like what the program Pelt. I don't know if anybody's used that. It's a texture mapping program that basically tries to unwrap a surface, but keep the tension uniformly across the entire surface.
Yeah.
So
maybe Luban might look at doing that in the future as well, or maybe does. I still need to learn more about that. Alien 3D, Josh, you were saying that you'd used a bit of Luban. Do you know if it's got features like that? I kind of follow it, but
honestly, I only used it to chop up a model, so I didn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's got features for it. I would be surprised if it doesn't or if it won't. Like that guy, Luigi Chen, that's developing that is nuts. He just it just keeps growing and seeming to do more and more and more. I'm only following it on Facebook. I'm not using the software myself yet, but
yeah,
I just see the updates coming out, and it's crazy. Is putting out updates to it all the time to do different stuff and making lithophanes do stuff, and I can't wait until I can just lithophane anything. That's what I want to be able to do. Like just like I've done some lithophanes on things, but it's been a manual process of like cutting a face off and then sticking a lithophane into it or whatever. And to be able to just go, right, I want a lithophane wrapped around this skull, and then just make the surface texture of the skull use the the bump map of the lithophane, but wrap it around it. I don't know how that would work, but it would be awesome.
In theory, that should be,
I think you could do it in Blender, but I haven't,
Yeah, basically, from what I understand with a lot of that, it's a matter of taking a bump map and turning it into a true displacement map and then compounding it with the actual geometry.
Yeah, right, yeah. So what I'll do for things, I'll just share my screen for a second, show what I do in MeshMix. It'd kind of like put things on the surface of things.
Sam, you use MeshMixer a lot more than anything else, or what do you primarily do?
All I do really, man. Like mesh mixing is my thing. I do use Fusion a little bit. I used Tinkercad before I started using MeshMixer, and nearly everything I can do in Tinkercad I can do in MeshMixer. Well, probably can't, but like, I'd sort of just use Fusion where I would probably have otherwise used Tinkercad if I kept going with it. I'll just open up the Wu-Tang skull. Can you guys see that, or am I
I can see it.
Oh wow!
I'll pick a different one. So I made a lot of versions of it really quickly because I just took a lithophane of the Wu-Tang skull and then extruded it out, and then I wonder actually if I just sources. So that'll take a second. So like I took the original lithophane of the Wu-Tang logo, transformed it. I'll just hide some stuff. I don't want to turn this into a full-blown tutorial, but I sort of just like stretch that out, and then I take a slab of it off with a plane cut. And that's more or less how I get my original, but I always like to get rid of all of the original lithophane by, just transform. So when I do this cut and get rid of that, I've basically gotten rid of all the original Wu-Tang. But see how those sides are bumpy? I'd usually select all. Wrong button, sorry. And smooth it first before I take another slab out of it. So I make it tall so that I can smooth it without, we're freezing. So that's sort of smooth the sides, and then I'll take a new plane cut from that, which will now actually have a smooth sides and not pixelated. So that's sort of how I work around the pixelation that I get from the lithophanes. And then that sort of essentially becomes a tool to cut into other models. So then I can use a Boolean difference to shape it so that it contours to the face. Where's the skull? Sorry if this is, tell me if I should shut up.
No, this is interesting. This is cool.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know you could do stuff like this in Mesh Mixer.
Plant it sort of where I want it, and then...
Yeah, same with me. That's why I was curious when because he was talking about Mesh Mixer more often, and I'm like, I didn't realize that Mesh Mixer, I always used it for like just fixing things and really use it for as much design work.
It's a full-blown sculpting designing program. Yeah, there's all sorts of sculpting tools as well. So because I want this to kind of contour to the skull, I'll chop my tool up before I do it. So I'll take a copy of the skull, and then I'm going to use that copy of the skull to actually pre-shape my tool a little bit. So I'll make sure it's bedded into it all the way around, which it is, and then I'm going to just choose that, then hold shift and click that, and then I'll do a Boolean difference. And what that's going to do is it's going to take a skull-shaped chunk out of my Wu-Tang logo. And then when I push the Wu-Tang logo down, and this is probably a really convoluted way to do this, and there is stamp tools and stuff, but I could not get that working. So
yeah, this actually is fairly common. There's a very similar process which I go by when I'm actually using Fusion, and I need to basically make an embedded thing at a constant distance.
Yeah. So now that I've got my tool, I can now, it's cut flush with this other one, right? So if I was to hide that skull and look at the bottom of that, that's like a W that's now shaped to the skull. And now I can take that and I'll just sink it in just a little bit. Or I could probably, what would probably be better is to actually grow it a little bit. So it's, I don't know what's going to give me a more neat uniform merge with it, but let's just say I'll do either of those two. And then select the skull, shift select the W, and Boolean difference. And that should take out a nice neat little chunk. Sorry about the shaders. I should be just using this without them so that you can see selections a bit easier. My computer is so good. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Come on, that Ryzen 9 is an amazing
stuff. Like
proc.
that would have taken a month of Sundays to do, and it still didn't do it properly. I obviously didn't push it in far enough. But that operation then would have taken a month of Sundays to do before with my old system.
Yeah, that Ryzen 9 is an amazing proc. It kicks butt.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it on yours, but one of the ways that I've done it in, say, Fusion 360 is do the actual cut like all the way through or very deep into it.
Yeah.
And then basically deflate the shape, basically push in on the normals of the entire thing, of a non-cut version, and then merge the two. And that way I can get the curve.
So that's got that part. And if I had have kept the the top piece of this, I could have sort of made a part to go in there, but I didn't keep that top bit of shell, so I've sort of lost that. But yeah, I have often made parts where there's a letter or whatever that fits into the exact rebate of the part that's missing, and I'll kind of just use the face groups to steal faces and then join them back together again in the other way. I won't do that all now because it'll take forever. But yeah, so there we go. That's kind of done it. What? Didn't like that. Anyway, that would have chopped a nice chunk out of there if it didn't fail on me for whatever reason it did that. Probably not enough triangles somewhere. Usually when something goes wrong, there's not enough triangles. I don't know what's going on with that, but it'd be some weird thing. Anyway, that's how I did that, and then I did just a bunch of different variants of it because I could, so I did. And, yeah, that
that's the only way.
I didn't know exactly what Tom wanted that I did this for, and I just thought, I'll do a whole bunch of different variants of it and see what he likes. So, and then the funniest thing was I did all these different variants before I cut the back off the skull, and I was like, "No, I've got to cut the back off. I should have done that first." And then it would have been done for all of them because he wanted a hanging pot in the first place. But now I've got a whole nother version on Thingiverse where it's all like that. So yeah, this whole thing's on Thingiverse. All the versions are on there, and I tried searching for Wu-Tang Skull and it didn't come up though, so I don't know what's going on with Thingiverse.
It's
Thingiverse.
Thingiverse, or it's just Thing. Oh, I thought you were bagging me about my Australian pronunciation.
No, it's the
Thingiverse.
No, it's just everybody makes fun of that
I
site.
wish people would stop using it.
Yeah, true.
It's so hard. It's like trying to get people to stop using Microsoft Windows.
Yeah, but Windows is awesome and Thingiverse isn't.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I'm with you there. It's just it's so hard. It's just like
it's ingrained into the 3D printing community.
It is, and I wholeheartedly agree. I wish there was a better product out there that was not tied to an organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because once you start getting these organizations that are tied into it, then you're too reliant on them. Whereas if it was, hey, all of us get together and hey, let's program a site that works better. We're not tied to anything. I think that would be, better for the community.
That'd be nice.
I think we assumed that Prusa printers is like
the next
Google. They're not going to be evil, supposedly. Yeah.
Everyone's evil. I'm evil.
Yeah,
anyone that's watching this, I'm just as evil as everyone else.
Okay.
Everybody has their own agenda when it suits them.
I could create an STL sharing site. My biggest problem is
maintenance is hard.
An STL viewer. That is like, if you look at what is it? Cults 3D. If you look at their models, see they create like flattened renders. And they're basically images that do a 360 view, but you can't view like all sides of the model.
Yeah.
And the reason that is because they said that STL viewers, people can steal the code.
David Hewitt's got a great idea, a 1440 library. I love that.
Yeah, sure, perfect. I got nothing else better to do. I'm right on that.
Well, Shane, I've been a web developer for the past 22 years.
I'm just kidding.
So, I mean, I can do the site. The problem is the STL viewer because I don't want people's STLs getting stolen.
So is there no like open source backend for an STL share site, like a file sharing site, like that you could base it off of? Because it seems like you're reinventing the wheel if you try to make like Thingiverse again.
Could we not just make it so that there's no one's allowed to upload files that aren't commercially allowed and just like only completely open source stuff's allowed on it in the first place? That would solve the problem of people stealing the STLs because
that's true.
And focus on the donation a bit more, and I don't know.
Yeah.
maybe it'd be cool to see how much people had donated, so people could see, oh, just poor bugger's done all this work and no one's donated.
That's
Shane, sounds like you got your next project.
Yeah, sure. I'm on it. Guys, I'm going to let everyone know one thing. Hold on. Let me do it this way just so I make sure everyone understands this here. Okay. I was in the Navy, the United States Navy. The first thing you learn about joining the Navy is what it stands for. Never again volunteer yourself. Okay?
You know what, Shane, though?
And
you already
here
did
you are
it twice.
hosting your second 24-hour stream.
I was promised a lot of booze after this. Unfortunately, I had to go buy my own booze for it, but,
Shane,
10
if I was
hours
closer
away.
to Shane, if I was closer to you, I'd take care of you.
Oh, no, it's cool. But
I'm running out here.
While there's a lull, because I do have 2 fellow Australians who are ready to join.
Does that mean I have to go?
Well, my time is up, so I'll
I can hop out too. I've been on for 2 hours.
Well, if it's up to you guys. I mean, I'll do it this way, okay? We can bring them on. You guys can, say hi and bye if you want to, and everything else, and then we'll go from there. If you guys want to on the schedule, there are some down spots. I'm not saying for anyone to stay up late, but if you're a natural night owl, okay? It's in the daytime over there. Put your finger down. You're a daytime.
How long's the stream going for?
It's only
for another
9
10
PM
hours.
here.
Yeah, I'll be around.
All right, so let me bring in these 2. They're both very well known on social media in the 3D printing community. One is the lovely Miss Cathy O'Malley, and the other is the very, very well-known Wellbot. So I will bring them both in right now, and I will minimize my screen but still stay on mic so the screen doesn't go all crazy. And let me get their stuff set up. Wellbot is connecting to audio. Catherine is set.
Cathy.
Yeah.
Hi. Is it
Hello.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
And
Hi,
Wellbot
Cathy.
is
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Sorry, just getting things set up here.
all right, good.
Things were a bit blank for a second there.
Welcome to my world. Everything's always blank. Mostly inside my head because in 3 hours I will be up for 24 hours. And I'll have 7 more
Get
hours
up
to go.
so early.
Because I was paranoid.
Oh my goodness.
I was
You
scared
worry
that
too
I was
much,
going to mess
Shane.
things
You
up.
worry too much.
Dude, I was raised Irish Catholic, okay? We were
Yeah.
brought up, if the world ended, it would be our fault.
Hey.
Thank you, Cathy.
That's all.
I have to
That's
say, I
perfect.
feel Shane's pain on that one.
That's
Well,
all
it's funny. I was catching up on trying to meet everybody that was going to be in the stream with me last night, late at night, and my balls were falling out of my head. But I watched Cathy's Alien 3D unboxing, so that kind of introduced me to both you guys. And watched.
Yeah, I need to watch that. I
the
got
Wellbot tutorial, and sort of tried to get myself up to speed. So that was cool. I'm going to mute myself now for a little bit, just so that I have to think before I talk. All right.
I'm with
not
fellow
joking.
countryman starts changing the way he's streaming. Interesting.
Cathy was.
my first time doing this.
Cathy, have you introduced Wellbot into the FDM printing yet?
Yeah, well, because of the outbreak, I haven't been able to go and visit him, but I do have something to show him. This is the filament that Josh sent to you. Well, what? I got it from my reshipper.
Awesome.
Nice color.
Also, a nice little box of goodies here for you as well.
Oh my.
And so once this is all over, and when I can go and visit people, I'll be going down to see him and drop it all off.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm still a bit
Hey,
confused.
Josh.
Yeah.
David Hewitt asked, what is Alien 3D?
Well, David, I sell 3D printing filament, 3D printers, but what really started off my business almost 2 years ago now, in June it'll be 2 years. But actually, Joe Paddock and Cathy are both subscribers to my UFO. But I do a monthly subscription box that has 4 20-meter samples of filament. And additionally, on top of that, it has electronics projects. I don't know if this one's still working because I stepped on it. What do I do with that 9-volt battery?
All those boxes back behind you.
Yeah, all the boxes back behind me. I'm temporarily not doing custom design boxes at the moment because the shutdown has things. Okay, so some of my lights are not working on it because I stepped on it. But I do electronics projects each month, and this was my anniversary project last year, and it was UFOs, lots of soldering in there, and a control board. Let's see, couple. I can't remember. When did I do the operation game?
There you go, Josh.